What's going on, everybody? So today's video is going to be a very long video. The reason it's going to be a long video is because I want to be as detailed as possible when showing how to install and bypass factory amp and power larger and newer speakers in your JK, not your JK, and your JT or your JL. The reason I want to make this video is because it is a process to do, and there are some hurdles that you have to go through in order to get this done, just the way that the whole system itself is set up. It's not as easy as just removing factory speakers and running new wires or amplifying and everything like that. So that's why I want to make this video, because there was when looking to see, or when beginning to take on this project, I did do my research and try to see if anybody else has done it, which people have. But I haven't found anywhere that shows a good step-by-step or instructions on the process of actually getting it done. I've seen things here and there. I found some help throughout the community and YouTube and everything, but there's not one place that'll go through and show you everything that goes into it and goes into very much detail, just little pieces here and there. So I kind of wanted to put this together to help out everybody in the future that may want to take on this project, or if you're thinking about it and just don't know how to. So that's where this is kind of comes into play. Again, it is going to be a long video because it's a long process, so stick around. I'll probably go through and put like timestamps and everything, so if you're looking for certain things, you can kind of gauge where everything's at. As you see here, I got the Metra kick panel, speaker pods. I'm changing everything to 6.5. I'm gonna do coaxials up front and components in the sound bar. So I got that. I got the Pac Audio Amp Pro. This is the R2 version. The R2 version works for amplify systems and non-amplify systems. They don't even sell the regular one anymore. So if you go to the website, you can only buy this one, but of course aftermarket and other outlets have the first market, so be sure to make sure you know which one you're getting. That's going to be the amp that I'm using, is a Pioneer 2000 watt amp. That's the model number right there. I'm going to be replacing the current mono block that I have with that, and then that out the way. Then I got right here, I got these SSVWORKS soundbar adapters to go to the 6.5s as well, and I'll be running components back there. I'll be running components back there. Some polyfill. This is what I'm going to be running in the back, and I had that mixed up. Components in the front, coaxials in the back. But I got the GTO 609C for the front, 6.5 JBL, and then I already opened the box. But here is the backs. This is gonna, for the sound bar, it's JBL as well, 6.5. It's the GTO 629s. So I'll be running those. And then I just got my various install. I'm going to be doing all new speaker as well. I'm going to run new speaker wire. I'm not going to use the factory ones. I bought these adapters to just click it in and make it make it quick connects and everything, but I don't really want to tap into the factory speaker wire or cut it or anything, just in case I ever want to go back, or maybe I trade in the vehicle, or God forbid an accident, whatever. I don't know. Accident, you really don't need to do anything, but whatever. For whatever, I just don't want to cut into the main wire. Plus sound quality be better. But trim tools and wire looms and RCAs and everything. So that's what I'm gonna be throwing in there. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this all tackled. Now I'm doing it outside of my garage this time, because my last video I installed the sub inside the garage. That was a pain, took way too long because space was tight. So I'm gonna go ahead and do it outside of the garage. I'm gonna take the doors off and pull the seats out, so I just got an open cabin. Hopefully that makes the install easy. But let me go ahead and jump right into it, and I'll walk y'all through step by step of what I do. All right, so I got the doors off, and before I go ahead and remove the two front seats, I'm going to go ahead and remove the battery because the seats have like sensors and airbag and all of that other stuff on there. So you want to remove that so it doesn't cause any error codes or any issues or anything with the truck itself, or your JL for that matter, if you have a JL. But the thing with the batteries is the JTs and the JLs have the dual batteries, which I'm sure everybody knows. So you have the main battery, and then you have the auxiliary battery, the smaller battery. It's like a motorcycle battery or whatever. It is under the fuse box. So if you look at the battery, you'll see, of course, you have the main positive and negative. But if you look at these two, this wire, this one is negative, and then this positive right here go to the auxiliary battery. So even if you remove the main two connectors, the auxiliary battery is still hooked up, so your Jeep will still have power. And that's for the start, stop, and all of the other electronics and stuff and everything in there to still run. Excuse me. So what I go ahead and do, I always remove, well, ever since I initially started my sub, I now remove both terminals on the main battery as well as the auxiliary, because I didn't know that it would still have that power even with the main terminals removed when I first installed the sub. And I did spark, and I think I blew a fuse on the sub, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, not the sub, on the amp, if I'm not mistaken. And I had to replace that. And it also drained the battery because that took a long time. Again, because I was doing it in my garage. And so I let it sit the other day for another day. And came back the next day, and the auxiliary battery was completely dead because everything was drawn off of that all night long and everything. So because the main battery charges the smaller battery as well as the alternator, and they all work together. So if you have the main one gone, everything is going to come from the auxiliary battery, which is again a motorcycle battery. But yeah, so go ahead and remove your terminals. Always do the negative first. And you're going to need a 10 millimeter and I believe a 12 millimeter, if I'm not mistaken. I think this one is a 12, but 10 mil. And then the 12. Auxiliary off, main off. Now that's technically all you have to do to disconnect the battery. But again, I do it just to be safe. I remove everything. Just personal preference. I don't know if it has any negative effects on anything. Maybe a clock or something or whatever it may have. I don't know. But that's just what I do. So, auxiliary battery disconnected and main battery disconnected. Yeah. All right, perfect. So those aren't touching anything. They're not going to move. Now I can go ahead and get the seat removed. All right, so when you're going about changing the radio and everything, the first thing you want to do, of course, is remove the HVAC system. And to do that, it's just a bunch of clips all along here. So I went ahead and put the painter's tape in here just so I don't scratch it up. I got plastic tools and everything, so it shouldn't do it, but I just went and did it anyway just to be 100% sure. But basically you want to get something and get in there and pull towards you, like pull out, and not bend or anything. Just pull towards you and it should pop out eventually. And this particular tool itself, I mean, this pry tool has a handle on it, so that makes it pretty easy for me to do. Not all of them have this, but it makes this a lot easier. See? And then the clips just pop. And you got all your clips, and then you just got some plugs for the actual buttons, and then this is for this plug over here is for the start stop. I'll just unplug those. They're little push pins or push clips or whatever. And you have two Phillips head screws. I don't know if you can see it. I don't know how good this is focusing, but you got two Phillips head screws that'll hold the bezel around the screen on. So you want to go ahead and remove those also, and then that'll pop off. So let me go ahead and do that. Hey, that's off, and then now you just got 4 screws. Again, Phillips head for the actual screen itself, and that'll let you pull the screen out. Alright, so when you open your Pac Audio, the Amp Pro, again, this is the CH41, it's the R2. It doesn't say it on there, but it's the R2 version, the serial number or whatever. Let's say R2, see if I can get it to focus on it. Probably not, but right there it says R2. Anyway, but this is what you get in the box. You get the unit itself, you get the wiring harness, you get the adjustment knob, and of course your instructions. Now the adjustment knob is for if you don't have, if your factory amp, I mean not your factory amp, if your aftermarket amp doesn't have a level adjustment, you can use this and it'll work as that. But I do have one on my amp, so I'm going to be utilizing that as the main one. This still has to be installed with the unit, but you could just hide it or whatever, just so that it's accessible in the event that you need to use it for any reason, because it adjusts levels of like the chimes and all of that. So I will put it in there, of course, and then I'll just put it somewhere out of view. Now, I did go ahead and read the instructions. I would suggest you do it as well. But what I did pick up for it that I wanted to just relate to you guys is that this unit says that is for the 8 or 7-inch screens only if you have a JT. And then if you have a JL, if you have a 2018 JL Plus, which I don't know why, I mean, I guess all JLs in this matter, you can do the 5, 7, and 8-inch screen. So with a JL, any year it'll work. With the JT, obviously there's only 1 year so far, but you have to have a 7 or 8-inch screen. It will not work with the 5-inch screen. So that was something that I learned. Luckily, I do have a 7-inch screen in my unit, so I mean in my truck, so it will work for me. But that just stood out to me, so I just wanted to relay that to you guys. The other thing that you want to pay attention to when you're hooking this up is how you're going to hook it up, because it has these little dip switches that you have to, why is this not focusing? It has these dip switches that you have to configure, which is back here, and that's this rail right here. You have 1, 2, 3, and 4. As it says, 3 is non-function, so you don't do anything with that. 4, if you don't have an amplified vehicle. Down means on. They all come up. They all start in the up position, and if you flip it down, then that turns it on. 1 is 2-channel mode. I went all out of order. 1 is 2-channel mode, and then 2, you have 5 volts and 4 volts pre-outs for speaker level. I believe that the JT and the JL needs a 5-volt signal so that the radio keeps working and knows that their speaker's connected. So I'm gonna go ahead and leave that on. In my case, I'm gonna leave all of them on because I don't need to do anything. I have amplify, I need the 5 volts, and then I'm not gonna be using 2-channel mode. I'm gonna be using a full 4 with my 5-channel amp. So you got the front, rear, and then the amp. Yeah. So all mine are gonna stay on, but you wanna, of course, look into that before you buckle everything up and make sure you have it configured to you how you want it. Yeah. Oh, and also with the volume knob, the chime, you can adjust the chimes with that knob by pressing this button, I believe. I haven't done it. It says it starts at 0 decibels. which I'm pretty sure is fairly quiet, but I don't really care about the chime, so I'm not going to do that. But you can also connect this to your PC and use the app on there to update firmware and make those chimes louder and all other stuff. But I'm gonna just throw it in right now, and maybe I'll come back to it if I. All right, so I'm back in the car. If you were just doing a single amp and you were just doing a sub, then all you would need to do, you'll have the harness itself, this part from the car, the male from the car. You have the female version. They only go in one way, so you would plug that up, run this part to the back of the factory head unit like that. And then as far as how the Pac Audio goes, you have this wire, the 5-volt goes into that one, and then this right here is for these two. So you have this one and this one, which they are essentially the same thing, just if you read, one is for the premium factory amp options, I mean equipped vehicles. So this is the one that I would use. You would plug that in there and then button up all of the wires, plug them all in and everything. And what that's going to do is that's going to allow it to send a signal to your factory amp to let it know, or let it think that you have those speakers still plugged in, so that the radio head unit doesn't shut them off, shut those channels off, so you can still have it. But again, I'm going to be replacing the kick panels and the soundbar panels with 6.5s. So I have more steps to go, so I'm not going to button everything up right now because I still got to take more of this apart so that I can get those out. But yeah, again, you would just plug this all in, run the wire, I mean your RCA from this channel all over to your amp, and then you have this that you would connect your remote wire to, plug that all in and get your sub wired up, and you're pretty much done as far as if you were just adding the amp, the aftermarket amp. But let me go ahead and start getting more of this taken apart. To get to the speakers, you got to take this off, the dash part, the top part of the dash, these parts like the panels. And to do so, first thing you need to do is go ahead and take the top dash off. There is a Phillips screw right here, just one that you want to remove first, and put that with the other ones, and then that will allow you to go ahead and pull this off now. And they all are just clips, so just a couple of snug tugs. Alright, and to get this panel off, just more Phillips screws, 1, 2, 3, 4 across the top, and then it just pops out as well with clips at the bottom. So let me get that out, move the steering wheel out the way. On this side is a little different. You still got the 4 up at the top, but under here in the glove box, under straight up, you'll have the airbag plug, and then you'll have 2 bolts that are holding the airbag together, which I believe is a 13mm screw or whatever that you have to pull out to go ahead and get that. So to go ahead and pull this apart, but first you need to go ahead and take out this first. See, there you go, straight under you got those 2 bolts right there you gotta take out, and then you have this little yellow clip, which is just a snap clip or whatever. I forgot to mention this airbag thing. This little airbag clip sign right here, right under the arm handle, pops down as well. You need to pop that off, and it's held in with a little latch or whatever right there, but you need to pop that off because you got to get to these 2 Phillips head screws under there as well. Once you got all those removed, and then you just want to pull, there's some tabs under here, you just want to pull those from each side, and that'll pop out, and that'll get you your airbag and first panel. All right, so getting the front speaker, kick panel speaker out was a mission. I wanted to figure it out first before I record and try to tell you how to do it, and I did. So, ow, I just hit my head. So there's a ton of screws off Phillips head. You have here, here, one here, I think there's one here, yeah, one there, and then on this side by the door, focus, you got to take this panel off, which is this right here. It just pops off with clips. Then you got a ton of screws that run up this side and over here. This screw right here is a pain to get at because it's kind of behind this little lip right here. So I use the combination of a drill bit head, a Phillips screw head and pliers. Just trying to weave it back there and get it. And then you have 3 screws down here, which is in the glove compartment to remove. And then this part right here for the grab handle, this pops off with a clip in there, and then just 2 little tabs that hold it in. And you have a screw right here, and then a screw or a bolt, not a screw, a bolt on each one of these that you have to pull out, unscrew, and those use a 10 millimeter socket to get those out. And then that'll allow you to pull this away so that you can get under there to the speaker sides. So now I just got to get under there and pull it out. Alright, so for the passenger pod, you have a Phillips screw up at the top, one at the bottom, and then there's one on the right side that you have to get to through the side panel, through this little slot, little hole right there. Get in there and unscrew all 3 of those, and then you can just peel this away and pull that out. Passenger side is pretty much the same. Take that side panel off and you remove the screws all around. I think there might be one under here, under the dash and everything, but I have to remove it to see. And then you can pull this part off, and then that'll give you access to this kick panel speaker. With the light switch removed, you can get to the kick panel speaker. For this one, again, same bolts at the side. Like I said, you had to remove the bottom piece under the steering wheel, and you have 1 screw right there, and then you got a screw all the way at the bottom somewhere. Oh, right here you have a screw right there that you have to take out, and then you have 1 screw back here behind the steering wheel. So you got this one, these are the hidden screws, this one right here, and then one under here right by the little plug for the door. Remove all of those, and then you can take it out. I took out this screw right here that's way in the back, if this will focus, whatever, but there's a screw way back here. That one doesn't actually have to come out. I wish I didn't take it out because it's a pain to get in and out. I don't even know if I'm gonna put it back in because it was hard to get out, but you don't need that one out, just the other ones around there. And now I can go ahead and install the new speakers. Oh, and then the tweeters are up top, of course. They just pop off as well with the little clips, and you gotta unscrew those. So I'm gonna replace these with the tweeters that came with the JBL speakers. Obviously these are down here going to be the 6.5s, but I got to figure out now how I'm gonna run the wire, because again I am doing all new speaker wire for it. So I have to figure out how I'm gonna run the wire through the dash and end up where this amp is, which is under the driver's seat. That's the mono block amp that I put in for just a sub, but I'm gonna be removing that and replacing it with the Pioneer 5-channel amp to power everything. So I got to figure out how I'm gonna run the speakers from, the wire from that to this, and then next I have to install or remove the sound bar and replace those as well, but I'm gonna get the front all done first before I move on to that. All right, so this is the Metra harness with the 6.5 in there, all mounted. This is for the passenger side, the driver's side, and this is the stock one. You can see the difference, 4-inch or 4.5 or whatever it is, 6.5. And then I got the tweeter mounted. I'll show where I mounted the tweeter. I did a lot of it. I did the figuring out off camera as far as where I'm gonna mount the tweeter, because I ended up keeping the stock 4.5 or 3.5 or whatever size it is tweeter in there, because the one that comes with these JBLs is way smaller like that. See, it's a lot smaller. So I ended up just mounting this on one on the pillar by the grab handle, and again I'll show y'all that in a minute. But what you want to do as far as with the driver's side only, you'll have this grommet right here with the wires that are into it, and it plugs up that hole, and you have this hole right here. So you want to take that grommet off. I just cut the wires and pulled them out, and then fish these wires through. Well, I tried to fish these wires through. It was hard. So what I did was to take it, and there is a line that goes straight across. I just took it and split it down the middle until it got to the intersection, the center. Sprayed it open, put it on, clamped it, and pushed it back through, so it still works. It just was the easier way to get the wires through. But you want to put that grommet on, and then you have this part right here. I don't even know what this is for, honestly. It has something to do with the computer on it. This is where you would, this is some plugs that go in here. But I actually have these pulled out and put into the Taser. There we go, the Taser JL Mini. So I don't even use this, but I'm going to take these off, and there's mounting points on here, right here, and put it on there just for if I ever have to go in and service it or anything. I always unplug the Taser and put it back to factory. And so I'm going to take this off and put that on there, and then get that pushed back in. And then the front speakers are pretty much done once you do the passenger side. There is no module on the passenger side, so it's just the grommet and mounting the speaker. All right, so I got the pod back in, and I put the crossover. I mounted that with some double-sided tape. So if it focus, double-sided tape. I'll just go ahead and mount that right on top of the factory amp. And then the tweeter, I went ahead and put it right there, right up here at the top. It's pretty, you can barely even notice it. It's there, but you don't really notice it unless you're staring at it. I decided again I'm going to keep the factory tweeters in there, just because these were so small and no sense in getting rid of that. It'll just add to the sound. Now to get this grab handle off, you just pop these tabs off, one at the top, one at the bottom, and then there's a bolt on each end of the handle. You just remove those bolts and then just pull on it. It'll feel like it's breaking, but it won't actually break. And that's how you got that in there. I got the passenger side all mounted as well, over there, and the crossover, there's a spot at the top of the the pod that I'm gonna double-side tape the crossover to that once I finish running the wire for that. But that's how I got those done. Next, I'm gonna go ahead and tackle the sound bar and then get everything all mounted up. All right, so now to remove the sound bar, what you have to do is, around being on the row bar, you have to take the casing off first, to get to the bolts that hold the sound bar on. So you have some T25 bolts or screws. You have 2 up at the top in the back, and then you have the 2 up here, and then around the front you have 1, 2, and then 3 right here, and then you have 2 up on the front driver's side. You have to take those out, and then you can just pull these out. They are held on with some metal retainer clips, or regular, whatever kind of clips they are. If you see, I've already done the driver's side. See, you just pull those off. It has the clip, and then you can get to the 2 bolts right here that secure the soundbar on, and it'll be on that side, and then you'll have them over there, and then the soundbar can drop down. All right, so I forgot to mention a few things with removing the panels before you can get the soundbar out. There is a Christmas tree clip or clamp or whatever it's called in one corner. Like this is up top by the driver, by the door. You have that one Christmas tree that you have to pop out, and then the light itself is just held on with 2 metal clips. So use a pry tool, you can pry that out, and then you just disconnect right here whenever it focuses. But you just disconnect that clip to move the light, and then there is a center bolt or a center T25 Torx bit bolt in the center of the panel that you have to remove as well, and then it just pops off again with the retaining clips. So that's how you get that out, and then you'll have 6 bolts for the soundbar. Again, you'll have the 2 on each end, and then there's actually 2 more under the center support, or the center, whatever that's called, but you have 6 around it. So you got to take those 6 bolts out, and then the speakers themselves are just connected with this little plug right here that you just unplug, and you can pull the soundbar out. The grill is just held on with a number 5 Allen key, or Allen head bolt, whatever. I'm going to use power tool first to speed this up. And then you got your speakers that you got to remove. These are, looks like it is a T15 maybe. Yep, T15 takes out the speakers. And then this is like a little air tube, which looks like that's a T25, so I gotta go get that. As far as removing the speakers, it's just these 2 plugs. You just pull that out. You push in, like everything else on here, push in the little green part. It's actually marked, at least on mine. Push that in, pull that out. Same on this one. On the tweeter. The tweeter itself, it actually just has it's just on the inside. Like right here, you have that one on that side, and then you have these 2 little locking clips. I just bent them down and they actually broke, because I'm not reusing it or anything. But you may want to save that if you're going to be putting a tweeter in, or however you want to do it, if you're going to be using the factory harness, wiring. But again, I'm rewiring everything, so it doesn't matter to me. And then you have a grommet right here where the actual tweeter goes in, like that. You just pull that grommet right out the bottom, and then there you have it. I'm gonna tuck them back for right now, because I'm gonna get ready to cut for the SSVWORKS. So then you just take your SSV plate, felt side is down on there to eliminate rattle, of course. And then you have the 6.5, and then you have the spot for if you were going to use a tweeter. I'm not using a tweeter. I'm only going to be doing a 6.5, because I'm going to be installing, like I said before, the GTO 629s from JBL. And that's all. I'm going to be doing that just right here like that. So I don't need the tweeter spot. All right, so I got this all hooked up, or somewhat hooked up, just for a quick test. Again, it's the JBL GTO629 6.5, the Metra quick connect harness right here, the factory soundbar wiring. So if you weren't doing all of this like I'm doing, if you just were going to change the speakers that are in there, no amp or anything, you could just cut it and put the 6.5 in there, connect it and bolt it back up, and you'd be good to go. So you wouldn't have to go through all this wiring. But because I am doing that, I'm going through all of this, and then I'm just taking a 9-volt battery. I got one hooked up to the positive, and then you take this one for the negative, and when I touch them together, you can see that the speaker is going in, and that lets you know that I have the right polarity and everything. If it was coming out, then it would be reverse, and I would just need to tweak that. But so that's all hooked up. So now all I got to do is just run the wire down the pillar, and that's pretty much it as far as for the speakers, because I got all the wires ran for the front and the back, and then I just gotta go ahead, put in the Pac Audio and wire up the amp, which is going to be quick because the wires for the amp is already ran. So this should be wrapped up pretty soon. I just got to finish putting the sound bar together, so I'm about to go ahead and put the sound deadening material in there a little bit. It's not gonna be too much, but just anything to help. And then I'm gonna put a little polyfill in there, and then bolt this up together, bolt this back together, and get it installed. All right, so back to putting this together. So just sit the metal thing again that we used to trace it, sit that back on there, and then you have two sets of screws. You have a small one and a short one. You're gonna take this short one and put it in all of the black spots. It's 10 of them, the black circles, not that silver one. You leave those open, and then these right here, because that's how you mount the frame or faceplate or whatever it's called to it. But just drill into it and mount this on there, so that'll secure the bracket for you to mount the speaker. Okay, so once you got that on, you take the other faceplate and use, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then you use the 6 screws that come with it to mount it on there, which I just noticed is not a Phillips head. It is a T15 Torx. As you take the long bolts or screws, and that's how you would mount your speaker into these holes, whatever holes line up with your speaker. Throw some polyfill in here real quick. Like that back there. And I'm not trying to pack it dense or anything, just a little bit. Slow down the airwaves, or the sound waves, not airwaves. Make a little pocket. Try to bury this wire in this fluff some, help out with rattles. And I want my tweeters, mine is at an angle, so I want the tweeter to face forward like that. Find the hole that lines up with, and I'm gonna throw this on too, which, how do I want it? nice and snug. And there you go. Now you got the 6.5. All right, so I got everything somewhat put back. All the wiring and everything is done, and routed where it needs to be, put back under the carpet. So it's dirty now, but it'll be cleaned up. You won't be able to see everything. This is pretty much how I got the wires ran under here, under the fabric and everything. Speaker wires, the power wires is under here as well, but I got it under the second layer of fabric, and I got one in between to put some space between them, so you don't get any feedback or anything from the power wire, simply because that's the way that the amp was wired up when I had just a single amp, the mono block amp for just a sub before the speakers. So I didn't want to go through changing that, so I just did what I could. But a quick walkthrough of what I got so far. What I got in here again: tweeters up top, 6.5 JBLs down there, the pods, and then I got the 6.5 JBLs up there. And for the wiring for this, I got it running through here. This is actually the wire, but it'll tuck up behind the thing, and then it runs down out of here and comes up right here. And then that's what I'm showing you, the speaker the speaker wire, or the, I'm sorry, not the speaker wire, the Pac Audio, how that's put in there, because it is a little tricks to get it in there, because it's real tight back here. Because you see right here, that's for the AC. So what I did was I took one part of the harness and tucked it down as far as I can in there, and then one of the blocks, big blocks, I tucked it in this far corner above the vent, and then the other one I tucked down here behind this second vent, because the Pac Audio is way too big to fit in there. So then I routed the wires down, and I got the Pac Audio in the glove compartment area, but tucked off on the side. And I've already mounted the glove compartment as a test fit to see if it will close, and it has no interference. This will sit in the glove compartment. This is the wire for the control for the Pac Audio, but I won't use that. So I'll just go ahead and tighten these wires up so they're not hanging everywhere, put everything back together, and we're good to go. I've already tested it and everything, and it sounds great. It's a lot louder, whole lot louder. Usually I got to go up to like 25 or 20s, in the 20s, before it gets significantly loud. I had it at maybe 10 or 11, and it was too loud for just being in my neighborhood. So I'm definitely happy about the upgrade, and yeah. But that's gonna be a full walkthrough for what I did, as far as how you can go about installing an amp to power your actual speakers and everything like that. Like I said, I wanted to do kind of condense everything into one video or one instruction manual or whatever you want to call it, because again, I've looked around and I've only seen bits and pieces here and there. So I kind of pieced everything together to make one full cohesive thing. So hopefully it helps some of you out if you guys want to go ahead and upgrade your information. If you have any questions, of course, feel free to comment and ask me. I'll see if I can answer what I can, help you out as much as possible. But again, thank you for joining. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll check you in the next video.